There she is. Oh my God. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm just fine. You have many books behind you. You're so smart.
I do like books. It's my first Instagram live interview. And
No way.
Very excited, yes.
So first, let me explain what this is. I don't know if you're in the United States, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard of this pandemic that is going on.
I have, actually.
Right, exactly. So I had to close my little business for 4 months now, and everything was fine and everything was wonderful. And in order not to die of boredom, I decided to start this chain of interviews. And, I thought it was going to be like half a dozen interviews, and this is interview number 55.
Which is a good number, so I'm excited.
It is. It's very, very lovely.
Well, that's excellent. I love that you're doing this.
Oh, I can't believe that you're here. Heather, let's start by telling the people how we met. Do you remember that in the 1800s?
Yes. We were both students at Indiana University, and I was assigned to be your accompanist.
I can't believe how lucky I was. It was like, what? For people to understand, I was a voice student. This is the 90s, early 90s or something like that. And I was doing my undergrad. The more I studied, the farther from graduating I was, the terrible student. And Heather was doing her undergrad, master's, doctorate, everything together, right?
It was very accelerated, yes.
Did you get your doctorate? Did you finish it? Dr. Heather Schmidt. I started my doctorate, but I interrupted it in order not to kill my advisor.
That's a good reason.
And and as a voice student, I had the right to have a piano accompanist.
Yes.
That's how randomness set us together, and it was the best thing that, honestly, it was, I think, the best thing that happened to me in Indiana. Unbelievable.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the standards are very low because I was very unhappy in Indiana. So.
and I remember Miss Cooker.
Oh my God! Yes.
She insisted on calling me Gretchen because she said I didn't look like a Heather. Do you remember that?
I do. Miss Cooker was my voice teacher, and one of the reasons I had a hard time in Bloomington, Indiana, is because I divorced my voice teacher, and it was very hard. But anyway, let's not talk about that. Anyway, as it usually happens, I talk more than my interviewees in the interview, but I'll try to do this different this time. Heather, who are you?
That's a complicated question.
I know.
So basically, I was born and raised in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Woo! Go Canada!
Yeah. I began piano lessons by accident, sort of, when I was 4 years old, and declared at 4 years old I was going to be a pianist and composer. And I came from a family of optometrists and farmers, so this confused them a lot. But anyway, so I studied piano and composition, and for a while I studied flute, and went to Indiana University, did double majors in piano and composition. Then I went to Juilliard for a couple of years. So I did the classical music thing, played concerts, toured, commissioned to write anything from solo instrument to chamber music to full orchestra. Love writing for orchestra.
I had the honor and the fortune to conduct Concerto for Piano Number 4 Phoenix Ascending,
yes,
with you playing it.
Yes,
Woo!
that was very exciting. Yes, so the most of my life for a very long time was very exclusively focused on classical music and playing classical concerts and composing. And then I moved to Los Angeles in November 2008, and I started writing music for movies and television. And once I started doing the music for movies and television, I said, you know, I want to be doing more than the music. I want to be writing the scripts. I want to be directing. So now I do writing and directing as well. I have a manager here in Los Angeles, Jeff Portnoy with Bellevue Productions, and I work on film scripts with him, TV scripts. My most recent film project that I'm very excited about is a project called Man of Fire. Yeah, and it stars Lance Reddick, who is an actor that people will recognize from the John Wick movies, from Fringe, The Wire. He is on the TV series Bosch. He's the lead actor, and he plays a sword maker who gets trapped in a dragon cave, gets put there for treason, and learns to communicate with the dragon. So it's a dragon fantasy with sword fighting and dragons and great acting, and we're finishing up the dragon now, so hopefully by the end of the summer we'll be ready to go. So I'm very excited to share that project with everyone.
And I did my research, and you're pretty much into this fantasy thing, this sword and all of that. How does that happen? I mean, why what is your interest in that kind of stuff? How does someone go from classical Beethoven stuff to fantasy and dragons?
Well, I think I'm a creative person generally, and I love classical music, but I think at some point I reached a point where I wanted to expand my creativity. And what happened was that I had a couple of film projects that had sword fighting in it. And I've always loved dragons. I just think I love animals. And
I know, and we'll get to that. Hold on.
Okay, but I love animals, so I love dragons because they're kind of like animals.
Right.
And I started doing research on sword fighting, and I took some theatrical sword fighting classes at the Academy of Theatrical Combat to learn sword fighting so that I could know better how to direct it. And I fell in love with sword fighting.
That's awesome. But you were a dancer too, wasn't that like Scottish dance or something like that?
So I did competitive Highland dancing for 12 years, and I also did ballet.
I love this competitive Highland. I love it.
Yeah, so I did Highland dancing. Ironically, I danced with swords. There's a sword dance, so I think somehow the swords were early developed. So anyway, so I started training in sword fighting for film and movie, which I love.
Awesome.
But yes, if you go to my feed, you'll see some Facebook posts of me doing different weapons from.
Phenomenal. And
Yeah.
what we're gonna do is I'll ask you to send me a couple links so that people can watch the video, and just click on the link here below and go watch you do whatever you want them to see you doing. Okay. So you direct the movies too?
Yes.
Do you have any schooling on it? You just decided, you said, I'm going to do this, and you went straight into it.
Well, it's partly experience, but when I first moved to Los Angeles, I did take a lot of classes in screenwriting and directing. UCLA Extension offers certificates in directing, certificates in screenwriting, certificates in TV writing. So, of course, since I loved getting degrees, I did all of them.
Sure.
And so I did actually do quite a bit of training, but then there is definitely, especially with directing, there's nothing quite like being on set and getting the experience.
That's phenomenal. That's probably my motto. You know, it's like as I told you, I abandoned my doctorate. So that, I mean, I'm being too kind to myself. I didn't abandon a doctorate. It's like I did less than one semester, and I said, this is not for me. Let me go back to the podium and start doing things, because, you know, it was going to take 5 years or so for me to finish that. And I said, you know, life's too short. I don't have 5 years to stay here and pretend like I'm learning something. Let me do it and see if I can do it. And if I can't, I can't, whatever. Yeah, not everybody's like you that, you know, in 2 semesters, they finish everything. So, but anyway. And what do you like most about being on the set?
I love everything. I love that I get to oversee. I like multitasking, so I have to work with the actors. I'm working with the cinematographer to make sure the camera and the angles and the lighting is right. I do my own music in the movies.
Sure.
But I love all, I mean, you have to work with the costume department. You have to work with the props. You have to work with the set designer. And as the director, you get to oversee everything to kind of bring this, it's very collaborative. And you
Sure.
which is very different than classical music, especially as a
Of course.
soloist. You're basically alone in a practice room all the time.
Right.
And so with directing, it's very much a team effort, and it takes a lot of people to bring the vision together. But you need, just like a conductor needs an orchestra, a film needs a director to hold all the pieces together and have
Sure.
it make sense and bring that particular artistic vision to life. So I love being the conductor of the film.
Do you wake up one day with the idea in your head and you're like, this is what I'm going to do? And I mean, do you wake up with the picture in your head and you realize that idea? Or is it the inverse? Do you, as you start doing it, the work, is it more organic? As in the work becomes ready as it's being done?
Every project's a little bit different, and it's actually very similar for me to composing. You know, usually there's some initial idea for the music I'm composing that just comes to me. It could be the beginning, it could be the end, it could be a theme, it could be a title, it could be a concept, and then I start working on it, and it just comes together. And it's kind of the same thing with film, especially if it's something that I am both writing and directing. Like the kernel idea, whether it's a character or the idea of a dragon or whatever it is, something just comes to me, and then it starts filling in, and then it evolves. So it's a combination of, the inspiration is usually something that just comes to me, and then as it grows into a full project, that's more organic and has more layers to it.
That's phenomenal. And is it all CGI or is it a rubber dragon?
In this case, it's all CGI for the dragon. You know, some projects do a combination of real with mixed, but the dragon for this is all CGI. And basically, what we did is I actually did an oil clay sculpture of the base model for the dragon myself. Then the 3D scan of the clay sculpture I did, imported it into the CGI, and then expanded upon that.
But I mean, did you do the CGI yourself?
No.
Oh, because I'm like, and then I also cook.
I'm not very good at cooking.
Yes.
But no, I did do the oil clay sculpture, but then I did not do any of the CGI.
Okay, well, good. Because I mean, it takes a life of learning to do CGI. I mean, so you mentioned that you like animals, and
Yeah.
I fell off my chair when you told me. And what animals do you have at home, for example?
So there's two parts. I have my animals at home, and I also started 2 nonprofit Husky rescues for Husky dogs, which I'll talk about in a minute. But at home, all right, put on your seatbelt. I have 5 dogs, 3 horses, 18 cats. 14 cats live indoors. 4 of them are outdoor barn cats. I have 2 pigeons who are rescues, and some fish.
You do not. This is not true.
It's totally true.
Nobody has a pigeon.
I have 2.
I can't really. And you have 2 horses at home.
3.
3 horses at home.
Yeah.
And I assume it's a big house with a yard.
It's got a half-acre property, and there's actually horse stalls, and there's a big arena at the back.
That's awesome. I remember I rode once, and I was not very good. I lost my glasses in the process. I found them, but it was one of those Three Stooge scene that you don't want to. But anyway, let me be your psychologist here.
Yes.
Your mom never wanted you to have a cat. Is that the reason?
No animals at all. I had a parakeet growing up. No no cats, no dogs, nothing. Now I have a lot.
And you came back with a vengeance.
I did.
That's awesome. And then you mentioned too that you have a Husky rescue program.
Yeah. So basically, I came to Los Angeles and I was horrified at the number of dogs that get euthanized every year. It's like, I mean, the numbers are really high. I think it's over 30,000 a year, just dogs. And there's pit bulls and chihuahuas, but Huskies, ironically, are currently one of the highest euthanized breeds because everybody wants them because they look like Game of Thrones wolves. They look like the Twilight wolves. So they're very, very popular. But they're amazing dogs, but they're different than dogs. They're very high energy. They shed a lot. They're massive escape artists. They're super smart. And so people buy them because they're pretty and then aren't prepared for the amount of work it takes. And so I started Hollywood Huskies, which is a 501c3 nonprofit in Los Angeles in March 2016. And we've almost reached saving and adopting 600 dogs.
Phenomenal.
And then because LA is hot and not really the best place for Huskies,
exactly,
and Canada is cold and great for Huskies, I set up a sister rescue called Halo Husky Haven in my hometown in Calgary. So
Calgary is cold.
It's very cold.
Yeah.
And so we rescue dogs within Canada, but I also send some of the dogs from Los Angeles up to Canada when there's no pandemic, and the dogs are very happy. So.
I know. Well, that's phenomenal. That's wonderful. And I ask this to all my guests here at Interview with the Maestro. How are you coping with the quarantine?
It's because I'm a freelance artist who mostly works from home, and because I have my whole big animal family, my day-to-day life in some ways is not all that different. Mm-hmm. But I can't do concerts.
Of course.
It's like, it's very frustrating, and with no clear end in sight.
And that is the problem, because if someone told us, okay, this is until December, or even if they said, 2021 is over, think about 2022, it would be sad. But it's like, okay, I have a plan, but we don't know. And this is actually, you are absolutely right. It's driving me crazy too.
So it's definitely challenging, and I understand how difficult it is for everyone. And there's jobs you can't do, and everything's up in the air. So what I've personally been doing is, focusing on my animals, focusing on creative projects.
Sure.
And I got inspired because a lot of people during this pandemic have been like learning a new instrument or a new hobby. So do you want to guess? I'm learning a new instrument. Do you want to guess what it is?
Wait. The Scottish bagpipe?
No.
The trumpet?
No.
So I give up.
The oboe.
Really?
Yes.
That's
I am
lovely.
learning to play the oboe.
Are you learning to do the how do you call that in English? The mouthpiece. How do you call it?
The reed.
The reed. Have you learned to do the reed too?
Well, I mean, you have to blow on the reed. I haven't learned to make reeds yet, but
okay.
Yeah, I am learning to play with the reed.
That's phenomenal. That's good. Fantastic. And that's always something as a cheap orchestral conductor that I am. I never try to pretend like I can play any instrument. So instead of saying technique names and all that, I prefer to sing what I want. And I say, oboe, do fwee, 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 instead of, double tongue that or whatever. I don't know how to say it. So, and it's always, so learning new things. I'm learning new things too. One of them is this. I mean, I'm very surprised that people are actually interested in, people are at home looking for things to do. So
Yes.
this YouTube channel has, we went from 0 to 5,000 people in it, like in a couple months, and I'm very happy about it because people are following it. And now we will have we have a couple links down here for people to follow you, and of your Husky rescue program too. Please give us a link so that we'll have that. Heather Schmidt, I guess that's the time we had. I can't believe it's been so long. I think
I know.
last time I saw you, was it in Brazil?
I think so. No, actually, well, did we do the orchestra in
Of
Colombia?
course. Yes, it was after that. Yeah, you came to Brazil in the year 2000, I think. I can't remember if it was 2000 or 2001.
It was around then, yes.
I know it was either 2000 or 2001. And then I did your concert probably 2007 or 8, something like that. It was so it's been roughly 12, 13 years. This is such amazing. And you haven't changed. This is amazing.
Neither have you.
Oh, please. Lovely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was our time with Dr. Heather Schmidt, one of the most talented people I've known. And we'll keep an eye on her because, well, anytime soon you're up for an Oscar or something like that.
I think it's going to be a while for that, but you never.
You never know. You never know. And I mean, and now we don't know even how the movie industry is gonna go.
Exactly. What is everything?
Exactly.
So in the meantime, we enjoy your interviews and all the projects everyone is.
Thank you, Heather. It's been a joy talking to you. Thank you so very much, and have a great life.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
everybody.